Lupe, what's your take on that? Where do you find it?
I'm really happy because I feel like I keep arriving at somewhere and somewhere more peaceful each time. And it always comes to me like from all kinds of directions. You know, it used to be a lot through Eastern philosophy, seeing it in, in nature, seeing the yin and yang in physics. I don't know. It just seems like no matter where I go, like it's there. It's ever presently there. I feel like I keep coming into my own, and I feel like I keep getting closer to something harmonious, and I keep becoming aware and experiencing just, I don't know. I mean, I'm just really happy that it keeps revealing itself, and that it's a process of discovery. I feel like even with the whole Occupy movement or all the movements throughout the world, it's like, this whole power struggle, like it's done with. The hierarchy is done with. Like now it's time for they're showing us a different way of existing, a different way of living. It's like here's how we can do this. And it's really, really beautiful, like that it's all happening at the same time as I'm experiencing more and more harmony and more awareness of God. I feel like I'm seeing it all around me in my society, and I feel like I've been hearing it a lot in different philosophies.
Yeah, I'm hearing all of that too, and I really like it, and I want it to be true. There's a woman whose work I get involved with here, excuse me, in San Diego, named Ellen Kaufman Dosick, and she was talking about there are a couple of things actually converge. There's the fact that we're at the end of a 5,000 year world age, and people like Greg Braden, who've studied the polar ice caps, they say that the planet is showing the kinds of signs that exist at the end of a world age. And we're also supposed to be in the last 5,000 years before the 25-year cycle change, which is called the precession of the equinoxes. And this is an astronomical kind of thing. And it's where the plane of the ecliptic is crossed by the Earth. And that's all I can tell you about that. But that is, astrologically, the dawning of the Age of Aquarius, which is the time of universal brotherhood and justice and all of that. And there's lots of talk these days about the 2012 change. And I like to think that it isn't about the end of the physical world, but that it's about a change in consciousness. And so I like the idea that there's a whole spiral of time and story that is a certain vibration and a certain frequency that is completing, and a whole new cycle of time at a higher vibration and a higher frequency and a higher consciousness that's coming in, and it's the consciousness of oneness. And so when I say we're welcoming a new world, I really think that we are. And because I know that thought is creative, this is my story and I'm sticking to it, because I think it's time for a new world to come in. And it comes in through us. We are the place where all of us that are on the planet, we are the place where life is evolving itself. And so our consciousness really counts. And I think it's the opportunity for each one of us to keep lifting our vibration, to keep healing the past, to be letting go of victimhood, to be doing our forgiveness work, to reconcile with our brother and sister, whatever it takes, to keep rising up to a greater place where we're expressing more love. And in the process of this change, we do see that structures in society are crumbling. The old way is not working anymore. And so I'm happy to see it go, and I'm really ready to welcome in what is new. So this is how what I've shared with you is what I put together that I can hold and embrace and participate in. And there are many, many philosophies that speak, similar but slightly different things about this time. But we all seem to be saying that something is really happening. The whole evolutionary movement that you talked about with Ken Wilber, all the evolutionaries acknowledge that something's moving. There's something big happening, and it looks like it could be really good. So that's where I stand.
Well, this is arguably the first time ever in history that all of the people right now who have this potential have ever existed. And what we can do with that, especially now that we're interconnected, fiber optically, instantaneously around the world with the majority of the people that inhabit this planet, some 7 billion of us now, what can we do? It's amazing to contemplate.
It is.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought that up because that's exactly along the lines that I've been hearing it from all across everything, like Anodea Judith with the whole wheels of life and the chakras. Like I said, Paramahansa Yogananda with the procession and the equinox, like everything that you're saying, like it's just really bringing into fruition, like just a more global awareness.
Kathy, do you have any suggestions of ways to get into meditation? Is there a ritual that you have that helps to get you into that deeper place?
I think it began for me just sitting in a big room. Are you familiar with Michael Beckwith? He's a speaker who's out there in the world. And Michael was leading a meditation, and he would put us into silence, and then he would say periodically, if your mind has wandered to the past or the future, bring it back to the present moment. And so I understood in that moment what meditation was more about. And then out of teaching a class on meditation, I actually started to practice in, Ram Dass has a book, something about, is it The Journey of Awakening? I think that's what it's called. And there's some great practices in there about breathing with a candle flame, and I would say just sit in the silence and focus on your breath and notice when your mind starts activating and just come back to the breath, because that really is what meditation is. And the breath is the thing that brings us right to the present moment. And as far as I can tell, being in the present moment is what meditation's all about. So I think it's just a practice.
I believe that accepting ourselves as we are in a given moment, not expecting the future to be different because the future isn't here yet. And the present moment is what it is. It's not anything else, but how it actually exists in this time just is what brings me to that place of just feeling that closeness with God and with the higher power.
It's interesting that you make that specific statement because, if you actually think about it, in terms of really being present, there's no such thing as the future. Future doesn't exist. It's a mental construct only. There is only now. There is only this. Same thing with the past. Past is an idea locked in mind. It's various images, sounds, memories, etc. That you can continue to mull over and go back and rehash and, I would have said this or could have done that, or why didn't I, and beat yourself up. And all of that is just your mind basically chasing, the carrot at the end of the stick in hopes that one day it's going to catch it and ultimately be happy, which it never will. It's just not the way it works. It's just like this right now, the recognition that there is only this, there's only now. It's the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be. I mean, until what? Until the future? When are you going to be in the future? Whenever you get there, it'll be now, always. It's an interesting concept. It's sort of a cone in that it can help you stop your mind from thinking, because that's really what stands in the way of you and being present and being in a state of mindful meditation all the time, regardless of what you're doing. You don't have to sit in a room silently. You can be meditative while you're engaged in dialogue with somebody, while you're doing any number of activities, as long as you're fully present in what it is that you're doing. Washing your hands is an act of meditation if you're actually present to the sensation of the water and to what's going on. And so it's I think that's one of the things when I started my meditation practice that stood in my way was, I had all these images of, Buddha sitting in lotus, and, fingers so, and so that's the only way that you can actually meditate, and that's just by its nature supposed to elicit some sort of, divine mystical experience. It's not. I mean, it's just a way. It's a way that somebody did. Doesn't mean that you have to do it. The point is, are you here now? Are you present? Are you fully in this moment? Because beyond that, there's really nothing that anybody can tell you. It of itself is mind-blowing enough in the literal sense. That was just my sense. Sorry.
I feel it's absolutely true that what we do in the present moment can absolutely have an effect on the future.
I believe that those who are more conscious and live a life that is in the pursuit of their own personal truth resonate vibrations and light that can be a beacon for others. what would you advise to others on how to make their lights brighter? How would you advise that we continue being a beacon for others in the hopes that the consciousness of the world continues to rise?